I carved the wood. I cut the wood with my saw to get this piece, and I made my markings. Now I'm just carving the rough edges off before I file it down. Now I grab my rasp. And I gotta get all the rough edges. Now I'm going to cut these two edges out. Now the marks that I made, I'm cutting right on the edge. Trying not to get splinters.
You need to be louder.
So now I gotta cut in the back. When I'm going with the grain, I'm not afraid. Lengthwise, when I go against the grain, you have to do it very carefully, or else you can gouge it and ruin the project. You notice I always chisel away from myself, never into it. This is my favorite file. It's a round file. It really can get in there. You get the inequities. I'm trying to.
You have to speak out.
What I'm trying to do is it's hard to talk while I'm cutting. It's very precise work. Just getting a rough sketch of it. See right here, that has a knot in it. So those are very hard to cut. Sometimes I flip the blade over. Cut it. it's all contingent on how thick the wood and how dry rot it is, how hard it is to cut. Sometimes I don't even need the hammer. So now you get the idea how I cut this. Now to get the curve in the front, what I'll do is if you cut this way, I cut this. This is one of my favorite tools, the rasp. This is what I used before. That's all eyeball. So now I file down all the edges. I rasp it. Okay, so after I sand this down and urethane it like these, I take my dowels and I file down the edge, I chisel it down, I measure it, and then I drill a hole and I glue it in. After I do that, now I have the mast all set, so now I have to make a boom. So I clamp it in here. And I take my stick and I measure it. And I line it up. And I measure. Break it off. Now I take my thread. It's taken me a few times to learn how to tie the knots, and I eventually came up with this method. And I like wrapping it 8 times, because 8's a good number. So now that I have the boom, then I can take my piece of sailcloth and I can measure out the sail. So I grab my pencil. That's what my sail looks like. Now I take my scissors, my whisk scissors. I have to take the grommets in. So I have my special tool. Yeah, you gotta get that. So now all I have to do is attach this. Some people like to say, raise the mast. tie these up, I try to do it the same way every time. I go in this way, then I go out that way. I like to call it the in and out method. Okay, so I like to use my weight right here, and that's what it gives me a reference point of where I want to be. It gives me like an extra hint. So I go around. I know this looks like thin thread. It doesn't look strong, but it's actually nylon thread. I'm an upholsterer by trade. So this thread will last a very long time. So now I go through the grommets, raise the sail. So this is my little cabin cruiser. I mean, no cruisers. These are my canoes. I've made 282 boats in 2 years, and I've sold, last year in 6 months, I sold 58, and this year in a little over a month, I sold 30. Thank you very much for watching.